And hello, welcome to another episode of Mike Sports. I'm your host Eric, joined as always by Landry. Landry, how you doing?
Ready to talk football?
Yeah, I guess you probably are, considering your Dallas Cowboys starting off 2-0, looking very impressive. Two division wins to start off against the Giants and the Redskins. I mean, if anything, the first 2 weeks has shown me this is going to be a two-horse race between the Eagles and Cowboys.
Yeah. Unexpected. I thought, obviously, at the beginning of the season, I picked the Eagles to be the number one seed, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Home field advantage, win the championship, all that jazz. And now I'm like,
Smart
well,
pick.
we look like more like a tie at this point in talent. And the only thing I can say right now that I give an edge to the Cowboys are starting from quarter one all the way to quarter four. It seems like the Eagles are getting late blooms like in the second halves where they're starting to turn on their domination mode. But I think if the Eagles, we have a lot of season to play.
Oh, sure.
I think as soon as the Eagles get that corrected and turned around to where they start the game as strong as they finish it,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're very equal teams.
Yeah, I would agree. And I spent a lot of time talking about this or thinking about this because I wanted to talk on air about, what I think of why the Eagles have started off slow in each of the first two games. And the thing that comes to mind is Carson Wentz is one of those, like, he almost seems like a freelance guy. He's better when the play breaks down and he gets to just read and react. And early on in games, Doug Peterson is one of those coaches who likes to script those first 16 plays. And it feels like Carson Wentz is very much in a box for those first 16 or so plays. And it's like he's having a hard time. I think he needs to feel like he has the ability to change the play at the line whenever, not just outside of the first 16 plays. I think this is something they can correct and just kind of give uh, Carson just an idea of what they want to do the first 16 plays, maybe not script them completely.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the Eagles are a dangerous team because they can explode at pretty much any time.
Mm.
Obviously, in the second quarter against teams that have been ahead of them, they can show that all of a sudden they just explode with big plays and talent.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing out of me watching the Eagles, what I see is your defense is top of the line. And that's what teams should be fearing. We talk about offense all the time, whatnot. To me, the Eagles have one of the best defenses in the league by far.
I would agree with that. I think that that's one of the more underrated areas. And they have, in particular, when they're able to get home with their pass rush, the front four.
Yeah.
And they get home quite a bit. They have that ability to rotate guys in. Now, they lose Timmy Jernigan for a good portion of the season. They're gonna, so he's gonna be out. I think it's like 2 months. He's gonna be out. Well, he might be out the whole season. They're not sure whether he's on IR, but designated to possibly return.
Yeah.
We'll miss at least 8 weeks. But so they already have some concerns at the with some injuries. And Malik Jackson, I'm sorry, it was Malik Jackson. He's missing time, and then Timmy Jernigan as well now. So both of their defensive tackles that they brought in thinking, hey, both these guys could start alongside Fletcher Cox, and now they're both out.
Right. Well, I mean, look, as long as you have Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson as your
Right.
coach, and your organizations have always been pretty solidly run. I mean, I don't see a lot of areas where the Eagles need to improve. To me, they just look like they're starting very slow for some reason.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't really see a weakness in the Eagles.
Yeah, and look, and it's September, and it's funny on my way out. In case anybody didn't know, I went down to Atlanta this past weekend for the Eagles Falcons game. Me, the old man, and a friend of mine, we made the trip down. Me and the old man like to make at least one trip down every year to somewhere, and this year was Atlanta. And it's funny, I was getting into it with a fan after the game. He was kind of giving me a hard time. The only person to give me a hard time, really, the whole time we were in Atlanta. And he says, "Oh man, the Eagles stink." And I just looked at him and I said, "Hey, that's all right, buddy. That's why you win games in September. We win games in February."
Yeah. Well, I would say, hey, let me know when you get those 25 points back.
Well, my other response is I made a comment to a guy in a bar who was kind of giving me a hard time with the Eagles cheers, and I said to him, "I said, hey, pal, why don't I be a 28-3 third quarter lead in the Super Bowl? You be you, and blow me."
Well, or blow it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. So the other games that stood out to me this week that were a big deal. First of all, I think we're starting to feel like Lamar Jackson might be the real deal.
Yeah, it's looking that way. And it's funny because I was one of those guys kind of critical of him. I didn't think he was going to be that good,
Yeah.
even though I liked, like everything I've ever seen in interviews and stuff, he comes across as a real nice guy. And so I kind of wanted to root for him. I just didn't think his game was going to translate to the NFL. He's become a better passer this year than he was last year. And sometimes that takes some time to
Let
develop.
me ask you this. If you
Yeah.
had to, since they're in the same draft and whatnot,
Mhm.
if you had to do a prospects pick right now, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, who turns out
Still Baker Mayfield. I think Baker's got the higher upside.
Yeah, I think Baker becomes the better passer.
Yeah, I would agree with
I
that.
think Lamar's the better athlete.
I think Baker's the more natural passer. Lamar Jackson has really, you can tell he's worked really hard at it,
Yeah.
but I think it comes more natural to Baker.
Yeah. Well, plus I think Baker has a different wave behind him, pushing him forward because of the city of Cleveland and whatnot. Now, the one thing I will say that here's the deal: if statistics follow trend with Baker Mayfield, then he's on pace to make 16 touchdowns and 32 interceptions.
Oh boy.
So that's the one, with Baker, he's got the Brett Favre mentality. He's got the gun, but that gun can cost you sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny because Brett Favre, does he still have the record for the most touchdown passes, or did Peyton Manning pass? I think Peyton Manning passed him, but at one point he had the record for most touchdown passes and the most interceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, he's got
Favre's
that
a great guy.
mentality.
Yeah, Favre, one of those, like, I call him the ratio quarterback. He's always got a ratio of interceptions to make himself successful for some reason. Yeah. And that's one of those, if you want a guy to throw off his back foot and be a little unorthodox, you're going to risk that, not having the typical architectural pocket passer like a Manning or a Brady or people like that. I mean, you got Lamar's, the Baker Fields. The only guy that seems to show that they can be completely unorthodox and not risk interception seems to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like, I feel like he's like a calculated risky guy. Like, he looks like he's being. I think he knows what he's doing when he's.
I think it personally comes down to his baseball acumen has a lot to do with his ability to do what he does.
Right, and you see a few of those guys, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, coming in the league. Mm-hmm. I think it's becoming more popular to look for, or to say at least it's a benefit if we can find a guy that has some baseball acumen to him and athleticism to him.
And look at the positions that Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes all three played. They all three played shortstop. What do you have to do when you're a shortstop? You need to be able to throw the ball on the run. And what do they do better? Like, those three guys are probably the three best quarterbacks at throwing the ball on the run.
Yeah. Well, now you know. I'm on. Now you know.
But I think that's interesting. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, like I said, we started off with they're 2-0, looking very sharp. 2 division wins right off the bat against the Giants and the Redskins. Now this Sunday they have the Miami Dolphins, so it's almost like they have a bye week this week. If you're a fan of the show, The League, that was an old show. They used to call it the Taco Bye, when everybody in the league had to play taco in fantasy football. And, his team stunk, and so they all called it their Taco Bye. I feel like that's what we have now, the Dolphins Bye.
That's funny.
So now this week is the Cowboys Dolphins Bye. I'm happy the Eagles had that one late in the season.
Well, I mean, look, and that's another point. I'm wondering if the Dolphins are even going to stick with their head coach through this season, or if they're going to can him before the season even gets done, or if the Dolphins, like I think we talked about last segment, might be an 0-16 team this year. Yeah,
they really might be. Like, you look at their schedule, I have a hard time finding a win on that schedule. Like, I just don't. I don't.
Yeah, they have a rough schedule.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Now, I mean, okay, maybe the Giants, that might be a winnable game. I think the Redskins are definitely much better. I think the Redskins are a sneaky good team. Like, they've got some players on that defense. Kerrigan's no freaking joke. It's a shame Darius Geis once again got hurt. I was looking forward to watching him play. But I think the Redskins are okay. I don't want to say good, but they're not terrible. Like they're one of those teams that if you overlook them, like they could sneak up and beat you.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always those like secrets about things. Like a lot of people don't even know Dak Prescott's real name. All right, a lot of people who don't know who Dak Prescott's real name is. It's Rane or Rain Rayne Dakota Prescott. Dakota's short for Dak.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at like things like that. Like they're just saying we never know. There's a bunch of sleeper and secret teams, but you know, when it comes to Miami, at least. Everybody looks at Miami as an instant win on the schedule, but the one team that comes in there like, oh, it's going to be an easy is the one team the Dolphins might end up getting that 1 or 2 wins they need to go. See, we didn't go, you know, not all games.
Yeah, they go 16. Yeah.
So, you know what? I forgot I had the NFL schedule right next to me for this following week, but
yeah, I can bring that up.
I'm sure you can bring that up. Yeah. So as far as the Cowboys, though, you know, we're getting back into that debate. Is that going to be able to pull a $40 million contract out of the Cowboys at this point? And I think so. Do I think he's worth $40 million? Absolutely not. $32 million is my max I would give Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But the thing is as the season goes on, as Mahomes gets closer to his contract, as the market value increases, if the cap increases again next year, Dak has everything going right now, as in 2 weeks in, 1/8 of the season, in his favor to negotiate that contract, in his, you know, that big contract to make him in an era that he typically, you know, 2 years ago we would have never thought he would have been able to be in.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
He has a 140 passer rating for his last 2 games. He has over 386 yards in his last 2 games, and you know, if you would have asked me a year ago who's a better quarterback, Wentz or Dak, I would have been like Wentz, hands down. Now I'm like Wentz by a margin at this point. Now, let's see if Dak can maintain this. I want to see him against some real teams.
Right.
When I see some real teams go on, you know, we'll see what's what. We'll go from there. But right now, you know, I'm impressed with what I see. Again, I think Dak has proven himself to be the guy when everybody else acts. I always say when everybody else acts a fool, Dak is the guy that keeps everything straight. He's Mr. Consistent.
Yeah, you know what he kind of reminds me of, and I asked this question before, and you know, this is a small sample size to say this, but can he be the Troy Aikman of this team?
I think mentally, not obviously as a passer, but I think mentally he can be. As a passer, like I said, he reminds me more of Eddie George and what's his name? Come on, Titans. Eddie George, the duo.
Oh, Steve McNair.
Yeah, Steve McNair and Eddie George remind me a lot of Dak and Zeke. They got that atmosphere to them. Yeah. I think Dak,
they were very good when they were working together.
Yeah, I mean, look, Dak came in the league.
Dropped off that led to Steve McNair's drop off as well.
Right, and Dak came in with Zeke attached at his hip, so they got to get off the grain together. However, you can tell with all of Zeke's way he's handled things, Dak has pulled himself out as a leader in that category. You know, standing with Jerry Jones during the kneeling thing, he didn't agree with it, so he stood with Jerry Jones versus kneeling. Like, right. He's shown his ability to say, I can stand as my own against, you know, the mob about things and still carry myself well. And then at the same time, I mean, Dak just at this point hasn't made any mental mistakes. He's not an off-field problem. He's just a straight quarterback of what you need. There's no contract in the locker room about him. Now, we'll see, though. We all know how this goes. Well, I mean, I guess we all don't know. But when he gets that $40 million, $35 million, $32 million, whatever he gets, let's see how the locker room looks at him. You know, a lot of guys are like, you aren't worth that, you know, or we've lost some games. I can't believe you got a $40 million contract. Let's see if the money makes a difference when that happens.
Right.
So, but so far at this point, like I'd be willing to give him $32 million, which I think is more than Dak ever thought he was going to get being a Dallas Cowboys quarterback anyways. So, I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is getting $33 million. Dak Prescott getting 32. Look, you're nowhere near Aaron Rodgers' talent, but you do play on a team that has a lot of cachet as a brand name. So with that alone, you can demand more money, just being a national spotlight and endorsement guy. But at the same time, you know, it's like Jerry Jones doesn't know the amount of endorsements being a Cowboys quarterback is going to get you. Jerry Jones looks at the total package of what are you getting paid totally by just being a Cowboy? That comes with a lot. Like, so don't make it sound like I'm cutting you to the point where you're barely making any money if we don't give you the full amount. So
Yeah, that's true. I have the schedule up for this week.
okay, let's go through it.
So, all right, so let's go ahead and knock this out. Titans, Jaguars, and it's at Jacksonville.
Oh yeah, let's knock out the Jalen Ramsey conversation right now since we're talking Titans Jaguars.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so rumor is he's going to the Chiefs. His beef is he's tired of losing.
Sure.
And and my beef
with him between
is
the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Yeah. And my beef with him is I disagree with how he's handling it. One, yelling at your coach on the sideline, just stupid to me.
Yeah.
And number two, your attitude at the podium. Now, let's say you are going to another team. Well, that makes the podium when you get up there after a game, that kind of makes it your interview for your next team.
Right.
Right. And I don't like what I see. So he looks like a high talent, high risk type of guy with me because who's going off on next? You have another, Antonio Brown going on our hands as soon as the money keeps floating him up. But is he talented? Hell yeah, he is. Rumor is he's going to the Chiefs.
Sure, and I do believe the Eagles probably are kicking the tires on this. They're the types that, the Eagles would be the type they'd want to get him if he was going to be a value trade. You're not going to make a value trade here. The Jaguars want at least a first rounder, probably multiple first rounders, and Jalen Ramsey deserves that. He's also, he drove a Brinks truck to the training camp because he wants to get paid.
Yeah.
So
the only thing that would have been crazier than that is if he arrived in a balloon with cracked feet.
Right. Yeah. Good thing nobody did that.
Yeah. And then quit like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So I got Titans in that game.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Who you got next?
The Lions at the Eagles.
Well, home field. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to go with the Eagles. Although I will say Matt Patricia has done a good job with the Lions defense. But the offense still looks like it just sputters, like it's running on fumes half the time.
Yeah, number of Eagles players going to be out this week, but I still think there's enough there to get the job done. I think the Eagles get the win.
Okay.
And I know this is going to be a hard one for you to pick. Jets at the Patriots.
Well, I think the Jets are going to, they're going to spread mono all over the Patriots, and Patriots won't be able to function until they take the game by 40.
Smart move.
Yeah. Mono take you down. Stop kissing them girls. Them dirty birds. Nah, okay, I'm going to go with Pats, but I think the Jets are just one of those teams that seems to always give the Pats a little bit of trouble, even without Rex Ryan there. So I'm going to go on that game. I think I'm seeing about a 20-point spread. I'm not seeing a blowout like in Miami.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Jets will hang in there for a little bit, but ultimately, it's the Patriots.
Yeah. So and since we're talking Pats, we should probably it's probably be easier to do this anyway. Since we talk about the teams, we'll talk about any controversies or players on each team. Going through the schedule. And, let's talk about Antonio Brown being a Pats playing in his first game. I was surprised, granted how long it takes you to learn the playbook right now, and he ran some easy in and out slots and whatnot and some posts, so it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure they just had a message there for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised that he had much input at all. But the fact that he made it when he did score look so easy and then jumped in the stands and did all that stuff, and then him and Tom Brady hugging afterwards, it seems like Tom Brady's rubbed the Brady magic all over him.
Yeah, and then we always know, like Antonio Brown, he can talk as much noise as he wants. Second he gets in that Patriots locker room, you conform to the Patriot way.
Right, and people are like, well, what is that Brady magic? I'm like, it's the same stuff in Beetlejuice that he sprinkles on, and your head gets really tiny when he's at the very end of that movie. Same stuff. He takes you.
About right.
Yeah, he takes you, whatever. Now, do you think, here's the deal, let's talk about long-term Antonio Brown. Do you think Antonio Brown is a long-term Patriot for 2 to 3 years, or you think it's a 1 year and out?
He's at most 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see him being divided with Gordon long-term if Gordon obviously stays healthy and off the drugs. Right. I can't see Antonio being happy with, half the amount of passes he got when he was a Steeler or would have got when he was a Raider.
I think you'll be happy if they, if they're a good team that makes playoffs, win a Super Bowl this year. And then I think the implosion comes somewhere in the middle of next year when it's all of a sudden it's like, Well, is it Antonio Brown's that good, or is it just the Patriots are that good? And I think Antonio Brown kind of hears that as kind of disrespect. And
But he also knows that if he gets 1 or 2 Super Bowls while being a Patriot, his legacy is cemented.
yeah,
So that's the other reason he might buckle down and just go with the flow to get a couple of rings on him.
yeah, no,
I mean, no one's going to talk about the controversy if he's got enough Super Bowls around him. No one's going to care.
All right. So next up, speaking of Antonio Brown, let's talk about one of his old teams, the Oakland Raiders. They play at the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm liking the Raiders, and I know they're playing the Vikings over there, but I'm liking the Raiders. I think the Raiders are slowly building up momentum to be a better team. Like they look like they're starting to gain a little bit of what they need. I'm curious how the Vegas move, if that changes the chemistry or takes a lot out of them, and they have to re-emphasize themselves once they get to Las Vegas or whatnot. But typically, I always go with Minnesota at home, but I'm going to go with the Raiders on this one.
Okay. Look, I like some of the things the Raiders have been doing. Derek Carr's looked more like the Derek Carr of a few years ago. That was
he's not crying with broken legs on the ground.
Yeah. It's a better look for him than not crying. But I'll still say I think the Vikings win this game.
Okay.
They have the bounce, run and get back approach. They've looked good so far early on. Ravens at the Chiefs. Now this is shaping out to be a good early season matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going with Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a throwdown until fourth quarter. I give the Chiefs a 10-point win.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I think the Chiefs are going to win as well. I think maybe even a little closer than that. Maybe 3 to 7 point win. But yeah, I'm thinking Kansas City, especially they're at home.
Yeah,
and so I like that. All right, next up, the Atlanta Falcons at the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm going to go with Atlanta Falcons or 2 dome teams. And anytime Atlanta Falcons go to another dome, I think they can win again. And Indianapolis Colts, to me, just look like junk. And, somewhere out there, Andrew Luck is sniping players off out of jealousy because he's not on the field no more. And I got to give it the Falcons. The Falcons showed a lot against the Eagles. I was real surprised.
Sure.
I think Julio Jones is the best receiver in the league, regardless of Antonio and all the antics and from other players. Whatnot. Julio Jones is a monster, and I also want to give heads up credit to Peter Matthews for laying that block out during that game. What a lineman that guy is for the Falcons, and the pedigree he comes from. A funny story is if anybody's watched the Houston Texans Hard Knocks. On there, Matthews is in his first year of practice, obviously going against the Texans, and he has to go up against J.J. Watt, blocking him on the end. And you heard his dad in the background whisper to him, "Daddy's here," because he knows his son's about to get whipped up by J.J. Watt. It's freaking awesome, man. And J.J. Watt does pretty much plow him like 10 times in a row. But the point is that Matthews has come from – a really good pedigree and line and whatnot. And I really thought that I was watching ESPN Play of the Week and whatnot. I think he got second, but that was an awesome block on that outie for Julio Jones to go the distance.
Somebody while I was in Atlanta this weekend brought up an interesting point to me. The Falcons only play 3 games this year outdoors. And
so they do have a good chance then.
Carolina, Tampa Bay, and what was the other one that he said? San Francisco.
And let's face it, they can win all 3 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just for the record, I know we're about to talk about them or not. The Saints suck. I've been saying it that the Saints are going to suck. I didn't care what anybody said. All right, go on.
All right. By the way, I'm also picking the Falcons in that game.
Okay.
Next up, the Packers host the Denver Broncos.
You know me. If it's at Lambeau, I usually always lean Packers.
So. Yeah, it's usually a safe bet. And that would mean the Green Bay Packers would be 3-0.
Yeah. And that's surprising because I personally didn't think they were going to be that good this year. Oh, and speaking of which, what do you think about
only somebody on this set had picked the Packers to win the division?
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Let me rewind the tape.
Yeah, check the tape.
When I rewinded the tape, I had you picking the New Orleans Saints.
To win the North?
Who said that? Remember, the Cowboys are in the East, so nothing makes any sense to me. So, yeah. But
the Dallas Cowboys have their Dolphin bye week this week against Miami at home.
This is true. And at home. I was going to say even worse for the Dolphins.
I think this is going to be a good old-fashioned butt whooping.
Yeah, either that or it's when the Cowboys going all cocky and the Dolphins use their little flippers and smack us around in the face. You never know, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Miami Dolphins could really, put up a fight. If the Cowboys are taking them lightly.
Yeah, the
I mean,
first
they
team
could really put up a
doesn't take
fight
them
and
seriously.
maybe lose by 20.
Yeah, as I said, the first team who doesn't take them seriously is going to get, I think, smacked.
Yeah.
Now, we'll do the debate we do every year. When a team is this bad, could the best team in college football beat them?
No,
Okay.
they're still professionals.
Okay. Wow. Whatever you say, buddy.
Okay, they play.
They're
on the
fish.
professional field.
They're fish, for
They
God's
are
sake.
paid to play football. Okay, wait.
I know they're not. They're mammals, I think, technically. But whatever.
Okay. Bills hosting the Bengals, most compelling match of the week.
Oh, good Lord. Let's see. If they were out in the open, a Tiger versus a Buffalo, I'm going to go with the Tiger.
All right, sure, why not? Games in Buffalo, the Bills are 2-0. The Bengals are 0-2.
Not knowing yet, so teams
They're not going 3-0.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the Cincinnati Bengals going to beat them.
Yeah, and there's no snow in Buffalo yet, so any team has a chance up there right now.
Although I feel like there's probably a chance of snow next week in Buffalo.
Is there, for real?
No, I'm just.
Okay.
It's Buffalo. The odds are, yeah, they've got a chance of snow next week.
I'm like, it's June and it's snowing in Buffalo.
All right. The 0-2 Giants at the 1-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, now we get to talk about the Eli benching since we're here.
To me, this seems stupid, and I'll tell you why. If they were going to do this, if they were going to bench him after 2 weeks, then why not just release him? Save yourself $17.5 million, which is what they would have saved by just releasing him in the offseason.
Yeah.
And use that money to dedicate it towards, like, if you wanted a bridge quarterback, you could sign another bridge quarterback for a lot cheaper. Then, I mean, maybe it's just for the legacy thing of letting him stay in New York, but I don't know. Like, to me,
no, I don't think it's the legacy. Okay, well, it probably is partially legacy. I think it's more about mentoring. I think they want him to mentor the kid every time he comes back from the sideline because he's going to get walloped all this season, and he's going to need someone to come to the sideline and guide him through the adversity. And I think they're basically paying Eli $17 million to be a mentor.
So how do you think that mentorship goes week 1? You think Daniel Jones comes out and maybe has some beginner's luck, or is it, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers say, hey, welcome to the NFL, rookie?
Well, hey, no, I don't. I think the Giants can hang with the Buccaneers, and I think the Buccaneers can hang with the Giants. I think this is actually an even game between two shitty teams. So I don't see one walloping the other. I'll go with Tampa just because of home field. When I can never decide, I just use home field as my tipper.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tampa as well because I like the home field reason, and also Daniel Jones' first start. I just think he's going to probably struggle a little bit more than Jameis Winston this week.
Yeah.
Not that Jameis Winston's going to set the world on fire.
Jameis Winston, like, the way I look at it is he can win a game as long as he's not licking chicken fingers. So.
Well, let's hope no chicken fingers before the game. All right.
Yep.
Okay, Carolina Panthers at the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay, I think the Panthers are an absolute mess with the whole Cam thing going on.
Yeah.
And I think the Cardinals got a shot here. So I'm going to go with Cardinals in this one.
Man, it's funny. We're not disagreeing a whole lot. I think Arizona Cardinals. I just think the Carolina Panthers right now are just complete dumpster fire, and that's just going to keep going that way. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the San Francisco 49ers. Now, before the season started, if I told you one of these teams was going to be 2-0 and the other was going to be 0-2,
with the Niners. I mean Steelers.
Yeah, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But instead, it's the 2-0 San Francisco 49ers hosting the 0-2 Steelers. But I still think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going into San Francisco and getting a win. I'm
going to lean with you there. I'm thinking Steelers are going to pull it off. I don't think it's going to be by any fantastic margin.
No, I don't think it'll be anything special. It won't be a great game.
Clean up. If I was to say a reason they lose is, let's talk about Ben Roethlisberger and his elbow injury.
Yeah, out for the season.
Yeah, that could be the reason why the Niners. If this was a Ben Roethlisberger still led team, I'm like, oh, they're getting that win in San Francisco. But right now, because of that elbow injury, I think it go either way. I'm going to lean Steelers because I think the Steelers are just more of a physical team. I think that'll outmatch the Niners.
Yeah.
But Garoppolo seems to be on fire right now. So,
he does. Yeah, Garoppolo seems to be on fire, but I feel like this is one of those games where the Steelers just feeling like the whole world's caving in on them. They have that bunker mentality. If there's a team that I would trust in that situation, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and quick statistic: anytime a team started 0-2, they've only had an 11% chance of making the playoffs. Just throw it out there.
Yeah. And I wonder what it goes to when they go to 0-3, because if the Steelers lose this Sunday, that's what happens.
Let's just make it 3% for easy sake.
All right. And your aforementioned New Orleans Saints are going to Seattle to play on Sunday in the CBS game at 4:25.
I think Seattle whips it.
Yeah, I feel like this looks like a tail kicking kind of game in Seattle Seahawks.
The Saints are who we thought they were. Just don't let them off the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, the Saints are. Oh, and Breeze, another injury here. O'Donnell messed up his thumb when he went to throw it last week. Is Breeze even playing in this game? I haven't seen the update.
No, Breeze is out
So
6 weeks, I think.
Yeah, so definitely, I'm like, not only did I think the Saints sucked before when they had the
it's either Bridgewater or Taysom Hill and Sean Payton.
Now I definitely don't see it. Bridgewater is known to get injured on any other play he runs, so I just look at the Saints are spiraling out of control right now.
Which, by the way, I still want to thank Teddy Bridgewater for shredding his ACL and everything else when he did, because that meant the Eagles traded Sam Bradford to the Vikings for a first and a fourth round pick. Just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're a positive guy.
Thank you, Teddy.
You're a positive guy. Even at others' physical expense, you're a positive guy.
Exactly. All right, the Houston Texans at the LA Chargers.
Okay, I'm going for the Texans in this game. I think the Chargers are one of my most hated organizations as a front office. Can't stand them. So whether logic dictates or not, I'm going to go sports fanatic, also known as a sports fan on this one. And I'm just going to go for the Texans.
Okay. The Chargers are one of the few teams that managed to screw up being able to sign someone when the contract, like the amount, was already set in stone. Like, I don't know how you screw that up as an organization. And they screwed it up.
It's like Harry Potter. You just put a lightning bolt somewhere on you, and then it just magically goes jacked up.
Hey, but I'll take the Texans.
A lightning bolt. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm messed up, but
I'll say it. You're messed up.
All right.
Okay, the Sunday night matchup. The LA Rams at the Cleveland Browns.
Now, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Normally, you think Rams hands down. I think the Cleveland Browns are pissed off right now. They look sloppy. Even though they came off a win, they still feel like they're just playing sloppy football. I think the Browns beat the Rams.
Okay, damn, that was one of my surprise picks of the week.
I think the Browns. Well, surprise, biatch. I think the Browns are in this. They've got the chip that they need right now. No one believes in us. We came off crappy. Baker's like, dude, I'm tossing interceptions like left and right. I need a real team to beat so that people take us seriously again. I think this is it.
Okay.
Plus, I think Goff just curls up in a ball when you get in the wrong kind of light. He's like a Mugwai from Gremlins.
Wow, I didn't think we'd be making a Gremlins reference.
Look at that 80s nostalgia I brought into this. Get out of here.
All right, so the final matchup, Monday Night Football, Redskins host the Chicago Bears.
You know what? The Redskins are an interesting team. They come out whipping up on everybody in the first half like they got some football on them. And in the second half, they remember they forgot to pay the bill and they left the oven on and they leave the stadium. So I can't really tell what's going on with the Redskins, but I think in this game they hold it together. I think the Redskins might pull off a win here.
Like, did I accidentally email you my list this week of what I was predicting?
Yeah, I know. We've been pretty much on. We didn't even talk about Cowboys-Dolphins, did we? We just talked, like you mentioned.
Well, yeah, I mean, because let's be honest here, it's the Cowboys and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I still got things to say. Don't take time away from me to talk about my team. Anyways.
Well, let me just touch on I think the Washington Redskins this week, this just seems like one of those spots where Case Keenum's just going to do enough to help out and won't kill his team. That's one thing. He won't be the reason the team loses. He may not necessarily take him to a win, but he won't be like he's not going to throw 4 interceptions and just look like hot garbage. He's going to, make the passes, like make the short passes. May not make everything spectacular, but he's not going to kill you.
Well, in Case Keenum, my alma mater, University of Houston, broke a bunch of school records, touchdowns, yards, whatnot. Keenum is one of those guys where I don't think he's ever been able to stay on a team long enough to really get his groove and be who he is. That's kind of annoyed me. I thought the Denver Broncos should have held on to him longer. Shit, I thought the Houston Texans should have held on to him longer. But, this guy is if I could pick a player that he's better in that people would probably compare him to, I'd have to go with what's his name from the Minnesota Vikings, quarterback. Come on. Lived in a basement, drove a van.
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins. There we go. A lot of people compare them to as kind of like getting very similar contracts and whatnot. I'm like, no, Case Keenum's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Hands down to me.
I agree with that.
I think he can gun it.
He's done a lot more in this league than Kirk Cousins has.
Yeah. And I think the Redskins with Haskins obviously are going to move on from Keenum at some point, but I think
sure.
if
He's a bridge
Keenum can
quarterback.
ever land in a spot where a team actually wants to use him long term, I think Keenum will be an excellent quarterback.
It's a shame because I don't think that's ever going to happen for him.
Yeah, I know. I think he's going to ride around on $30 million contracts until he's out of the league.
Good for him, though. I mean, he's going to ride around the league. He's getting to see so many cities and live in so many different places.
Next thing you know, he'll grow a big beard, wear a leather jacket, and have a medallion on it. Oh, wait, that's Fitzpatrick.
It's funny for being so smart. I mean, he went to Harvard. Fitzpatrick is so freaking weird.
Well, you know what's cool about Fitzpatrick is he's the most comfortable backup quarterback you will ever see. He has made his spot as I am the best backup quarterback in the league. Hey, want to be a starter? Let's not get crazy. I would like to remain the best backup quarterback in the league. That's like his thing now. And you know what? He's made a freaking fortune doing it.
Yeah, because everybody needs a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Dude, when he was a free agent this year, I wanted knowing the Eagles were probably going to give up on Foles and let him go somewhere else, I wanted the Eagles to go get Fitzpatrick because I thought, dude, everybody's worried about the health of Carson Wentz. Go get the best backup quarterback of all time.
I think Fitzpatrick should be a guy that tries to visit like every 50 states, except he tries to be on all 32 football teams before retirement. That would be freaking awesome. Yeah.
But you realize he has to stay in the NFL for 32 years to be able to do that.
No.
He do
it. I told him, man, I advised him, start signing 1 month contracts.
Knocks out 3-4 teams this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. How many teams has he played on? Let's see. Texans, Dolphins, Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Where's he at now?
Miami
again. He hasn't been the Eagles. He's been Seahawks. He hasn't been. Has he been? No, he hasn't been the Saints. He hasn't been on the Niners. He's been on another team. Who am I missing here?
They're a crappy team. You don't like their organization. You don't like the city they play in.
Chargers?
No. Another city you don't like. A Northeast city.
Buffalo.
Yes, he was on Buffalo, but it's a different one.
It's sad.
I was thinking of another one.
They weren't even who we were going for. Hold on, I'm looking them up right now. I'm going to find out. Here we go. Oh, he's been on a lot of teams, bro. Rams, Bengals, Bills, Titans, Texans, Jets, Buccaneers, Miami. Jeez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wasn't he on the Canadian Football League?
He's been on 8 teams, dude. That's got to be some kind of record that no one's talking about.
I think he played in the Canadian Football League too for a year or something.
So let's just go. He's been on 9 teams.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. He's been on more teams than I thought. I thought he'd been on like 4 or 5. He's been on 9.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, he's a good way on his way to getting that all 32 teams.
And if you just want to know, he has, let's see. He has made $32 million in career earnings. Oh, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. $69 million in career earnings.
Good for him.
So, I mean,
for him.
Basically, think about this. I forgot when he came in the league. Let me see. Came in the league in 2005. So, in 14 years, he is basically, it's almost like he signed a $60 million or $70 million contract and he's finishing it now.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, as a backup, not even being the guy that has to hold the team down, like as a backup.
That's pretty bad. I got to tell you,
Yeah.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is my spirit animal.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the beard, pick any animal you want. He's got enough fur.
Right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to try to grow the Fitzpatrick beard this winter.
You know what? I thought about that. I thought about growing a beard and not
Mhm.
shaving it until the Cowboys make playoffs.
Well, I'm hoping that beard gets really big, so maybe that's sometime in the next 3 years.
Well, I'll throw the caveat in there. If the Yankees get one home run, I shave it off.
Well,
I have to have a backup plan in case my team fells me. What are you talking about, dude? Okay.
Well,
Well, we covered all the teams.
yeah,
Any other? What other news was there? We talked about Cam
yeah.
being hurt. We talked about Breeze being hurt. We talked about Lamar. We talked about Jalen Ramsey. We talked about Dak Prescott's contract. I think that's about all the news for the week.
Well, I mean, I can cover the Eagles injury news. Deshaun Jackson.
Is he injured, Deshaun?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was
abdominal strain. He's going to be out for 2 weeks.
a weird injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Originally, it was listed as a groin injury. I'm figuring he was just out partying in Atlanta, and something happened.
It sounds like Ray Lewis got a hold of him in a club. That's what that sounds like.
No, he survived, so it's okay. Nothing happened. Yes, for those of you who don't know,
well, that sucks because that's
was
one of their
basically
deep threats.
murdered.
If they were playing the Cowboys this week, I'd be like, that's great. But because they're not, I can say that sucks. That's one of their deep threats that's out.
Yeah, he's going to be out this week, and he'll miss next Thursday.
Who's his backup? Who backs him up?
JJ Arcega-Whiteside. He'll be starting this Sunday. He's a second-round pick at
That name hurt my brain. Say it again.
JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
My left. See, I said left lobe, but I held my right. I'm all messed up.
That's right. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But they also have Mac Hollins. He'll be playing as well.
Okay.
Last year, he spent the whole year on injured reserve. We were actually – his face was on milk cartons in Philadelphia last year.
I was telling Eric – or no, I don't know if I was telling Eric. No, I was telling somebody about, in the 90s when we played the Philadelphia Eagles, a lot of people don't know about this. Yeah, that they would take Philadelphia cream cheese off the shelf during the week of the football game. A lot of people don't know about that. They only did it in the 90s. They don't do it anymore. That's because we haven't given them any reason to do it again. Back in the day, they'd be like, so many people came to get football food just because Cowboys were always in the playoffs. It was totally worth it. They didn't lose any money. Now it's like, well, hey, they don't make the playoffs. Why are we losing money in our grocery store? Yeah. A little bit different of an attitude now.
Yeah, right. It seemed like when we were kids, like stuff like that mattered so much more.
Yeah.
Like the little rivalries.
Now it's more like, look, we're a new generation. Millennials don't fight like that anymore. We're all together. And I'm like hell we are. The hell are you talking about? I'm over there throwing the cream cheese on the floor, getting arrested, telling them I'll be back. And you hear the music from cops as they're pushing my head down. All that crap's going on down here.
And that's just an average Wednesday night.
Exactly. There's not even football on.
That's right. Not even football on. That's you
Who do we got? Who's Thursday night football?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask, and I'd already taken the app down.
Here, I'll do it. Let's see. Titans Jaguars. Okay, we did talk about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I knew we talked about the game. I just can't remember who it was. Yeah, Titans Jags tomorrow night.
Okay. All right. Well, wrap us up.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. It's been a great episode. Having fun as always. Hope everybody enjoyed this week in the Phillyverse. Obviously, this past Monday, because of my travels, I was not able to appear on the Football Smack Talk show. And there was no show because, let's face it, without me, we can't have the Football Smack Talk show.
Right. It takes two people to smack.
Right. Because one of us got to smack. Yeah, I got to smack the big red guy,
And knock the ginger dust off.
Sure. He gets so mad when he sees this. I can't wait. But yeah, so there was obviously no show this week. They had a great show last night talking about the Eagles game on the broadcast with Ryan and Ryan. And of course, tonight I feel like we did a good job covering, the whole NFL. The Eagles loss, again, I feel like it's just, at the end of the day, it's going to be one of those things at the end of the year you're talking about. It's like, Oh yeah, the Eagles lost week 2 to the Falcons. Oh, how about it? They're 14. They're 12-4, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, so we had a good night there. Tonight, obviously, Mike Sports. We always have a good time. Tomorrow night is gonna be tables, ladders, and chairs. I'm gonna be talking wrestling with Joe, and we're gonna talk all about Clash of Champions and the upcoming Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So everyone look forward to that. And yeah, so that'll be another complete week in the Phillyverse. And as always, go check on Phillyverse.com, join the Facebook group pages. We have one here for Mike Sports as well that hopefully everybody's joining, because why the hell wouldn't you? And yeah, check us out. Obviously, always on YouTube.
Like, subscribe.
Yes.
That's how we build.
Like, subscribe. Everybody, just click that like, subscribe. If you want to donate, that's cool too. So yeah. So anything to add before we get on out of here?
See you in week 3.
All right, everybody. Have a great night. Happy football, everybody.